Hello everybody. We're going to work on point slope form again in section 3.4 of the book. And so let's start out with an example. So here we're given 2 points and we're asked to find the equation of the line through the pair of points. And we want to get our answer in standard form. Okay, so remember standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers and a is positive. All right, and we've actually done something like this before where we're given 2 points and we find the equation of a line. But in the previous example that we saw in the video, at least, we had a point where we had a point that was the y-intercept. Okay, so one of the points had a coordinate where x was equal to 0, right? And we can see that's not the case here on 25, nor is it the case on 29. Okay, so in that situation, we use slope-intercept form. In this situation, it lends itself to point slope form, okay, because we can use one of these points and then we just need to find the slope. Okay, so to remind you, point slope form is, we'll write it right here, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, right? And remember that m is a slope and y1 and x1 are just points, right? Just a pair of coordinates that make up a coordinate point. So here we have 2 points. So we have, we'll call this x1, y1, and we'll call this x2, y2. Okay. So so we're given 2 points. So we have a couple options for this, right? But we don't see the slope. So that's what we're going to have to find first. So we're going to find the slope using the slope formula. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? So that'll be 2 over 1, which is 2. So now we have everything we need for our point slope formula. So we're going to say y minus y1, which is 3 in this case, equals the slope, which is 2, times x minus x1, which is 1. All right. So then we can, so we have our equation, but now we want to write it in standard form, right? So what I want to do is first simplify here. So I'm going to distribute, and then once we get it simplified, now what I want to do is I want to try to get x and y on the same side, like we see up there. And I want to get my numbers on the other side, but remember that we want a to be positive, right? So I want to keep the 2x over here because that's where the x coefficient is positive. So I'm going to subtract y from both sides to get the y over with the x. But I'm also going to add 2 to get the numbers on the other side. So that'll cancel out the 2's, get the y over with the x. So I have 2x minus y, and then negative 1 on the other side. So I'm just going to flip it around just for good measure. It's because this is how we're used to seeing standard form. All right, so there it is. So first step, we're given 2 points, and neither is the y-intercept. So we're thinking, okay, this is a good situation for point slope form. So then we find the slope first, right? And then once we find the slope, we can plug it into our point slope formula. Okay, so this is point slope form. And then once we plug it in, we just simplify and then get the standard form here, where we get our a and b, or x and y on the same side. All the coefficients of x and y are positive. The number, the coefficient on the constant on the other side of the equation is an integer, and the coefficient of x is positive. All right, so that's how it's done. So let's try 29. So I'm just going to identify these coordinates. So x1, y1, x2, y2, right? But remember, you can switch that up. Just make sure that your x1 goes with your y1, that they're the same coordinate. But I could make this my x1, x2, y2, and this my x1, y1. All right. So now I'm going to find the slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So it's 6 over 4, which reduces to 3/2. So now I'm going to plug that slope into our formula, right? So it's y minus y1 equals the slope, m, times the quantity of x minus x1. All right, so here we have a situation where we have a fraction, right? If we're trying to get it in standard form, then we don't want to have any fractions, okay? So remember, if we're trying to get this in slope-intercept form, we'd actually leave the fraction. But since we're trying to get it in standard form here, we don't want any fractions. So, so I'm going to multiply each term by 2, since that's the common denominator. And that'll cancel out the 2. Okay, now remember, I'm not multiplying inside the parentheses because right now that's untouchable. All right, so 2 times y is 2y. 2 times -2 is -4. Here the 2's cancel out, so we end up with just 3 times the quantity of x minus 1. And so now it's similar to the last problem. We can just distribute to simplify. And then x is positive on the right, so I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to move the y over, and then I'm going to move the numbers to the other side, to the left in this case. And so we end up with -1 equals 3x minus 2y. And so now it's going to flip it, and there's our standard form. No fractions, coefficient of x is positive, no decimals, right, as well. All right, let me know if you have any questions on that.